Hey, if you're thinking about moving to the Tri-Cities and you're looking at a lot of information online, I bet there's a good chance that you're missing out on this best kept secret here in the area. So today, I'm going to give you some insider info on the historic district, Gold Coast, a hidden gem right here in Richland that most people don't even know exists. Now, I know if you're seriously considering moving here to the Tri-City area, you've got some big questions like, what's the weather really like, and will I be able to find a job? And honestly, like, what's the best neighborhood for me to live in? My name is Andy Webster, and I'm a local real estate professional here in Tri-Cities. I live and breathe the Tri-Cities market. I was actually born in Richland, left a few times, but always came back. So I'm here to give you an honest local perspective that to help you figure out if Richland is really the right place for you to call home. So let's start with big picture. Like, what are the pros and cons of life here in Tri-Cities? First, pros, we are an outdoor paradise. What I mean is the Tri-Cities averages over 300 days of sunshine in a year. So it's not all rain like the west side of the state. We have a lot of sun. We have all four seasons, and our gorgeous Columbia and Yakima rivers mean water activities are part of everyday life for a lot of people. But let's be real, there are a few things to consider. So you'll absolutely experience dry heat in the summer. It can get really hot at times, over 100. And we're also known to have some windy weather from time to time. So if you're coming from like a massive metro area, this area is gonna have that really small town vibe. So you're gonna have to be proactive to meet people and make friends. So moving on to the job market, which is one of our biggest strengths. This isn't just an agricultural area, and we have a very diverse, stable economy. We have a strong presence in engineering, construction. Our major employers are primarily in research development, energy, healthcare. In fact, some of our top employers out here include places like Battelle, PNNL, or Pacific Northwest Laboratory, Cadillac and Trios Hospitals, Washington River Protection Solutions, and even companies like Amazon employ, I think it's something like around 1,600 people here. So we're seeing a pretty diverse and modern job sector. The job market here is really stable, and one of the reasons that people love moving to Richland. And that stable economy is actually the reason that this unique hidden gem neighborhood that I'm going to show you even exists. So let's stop talking about the big picture and dive right into the Gold Coast itself and the incredible history that made it the quiet retreat that it is today. Okay, so now that you know the big picture, let's talk about the Gold Coast specifically. Why is this place such a gem? Why am I so excited about it? First, you need to understand that this is a quiet, unique, tucked away spot in Richland. So look around a little bit in the map. You'll see that there's very limited expansion, and that's actually one of the biggest benefits. So you have the river to the east and the protected Hanford area to the north, which means this neighborhood is essentially locked in place. That is why it's such a fantastic spot for someone who's looking to retire or just want peace. It's going to maintain that quiet, friendly feel for decades to come. And honestly, there's a little secret that some of the people who live there don't really want me to talk about. The beauty of the Gold Coast is that it really feels small. It's friendly and like a local community there. It's unlike the crowded parks and beaches that you're going to see in the west side of the state. So the beauty of the Tri-Cities, and especially this spot in Richland, is that everything is accessible and almost never crowded.
I want to take just a second to pull off out of the residential neighborhood to show you how close this neighborhood is to the Columbia River, the walking paths, the bike paths, and the parks. This particular spot here, it's kind of a middle ground between Leslie Groves Park and Howard Amon Park. I'll show you some more of that later on.
To understand this neighborhood, you have to know its history a bit. So the Gold Coast was actually built back in 1949 during the Cold War expansion of the Hanford site. So the area was nicknamed the Gold Coast because the homes were larger and really more expensive than the earlier government-built alphabet houses in Richland. And they were designated specifically for engineers and professionals working at Hanford. So these were initially just rentals owned by the government. And can you imagine that? It wasn't until a massive real estate purchase between 1957 and 1960 that these homes were finally sold to private residents. And that deep connection to the Hanford area means this is still an ideal place for many highly skilled professionals who work out at the Hanford area today. Well, let's talk about some logistics. You're not totally isolated here. I mean, you're just a few minutes away from major grocery stores like Safeway on George Washington Way. There's a couple others that are just an 8-minute drive away. But for that real flavor, you're right by the Uptown Center. Uptown is where the community hangs out. You have a classic local spot like Spudnut Donuts. There's antique stores, unique stores like Adventures Underground, local food favorites there with live music. So while the neighborhood itself is super quiet, everything you need is right out your doorstep, from grocery stores to activities to the river beach to hikes. All right, let's talk a little bit about the market here and talk some numbers. So when you move to a place, this little hidden gem in Richland, I want to set some expectations first before we get into the data. So if you're looking for a cookie cutter type brand new home, as you've seen from the neighborhoods driving around here today, this isn't going to be the place for you. The charm here is the history. And aside from some newer condos at the northern tip, the homes here are generally older builds that you'll either find beautifully updated or still waiting for your personal touch. So any new single family home that pops up here in the area is generally a one-off build. And there's some pretty cool custom builds that have been going up. So take a look at this graph. The exciting part here is that you get this incredible historic neighborhood for a price that really is a fantastic value, especially when you compare it to the west side of the state. So just looking at the last 12 months for a single family home here, the median sold price was just $507,500. Now, the highest priced home sold here was $709,900 in the last 12 months. And while those waterfront prices will naturally be higher when you're right on the water, they are still dramatically more affordable than trying to buy a home on waterfront in Bellevue or Seattle, which is in the millions and multiple millions, right? So now here's the stat that tells you everything you need to know about the demand here for the homes in the Gold Coast area. They sell pretty quickly. So with an average of just 35 days on the market right now, that's much faster than Tri-City's median of days on market of 54 days on the market in the last 12 months. So that just shows you that this area is in demand. And ultimately, even with the rise in prices, what you're getting is a beautiful, quiet, historic neighborhood that is going to be an incredible investment. So now we've talked about the market, I want to share with you a little about some of the lifestyle and what that looks like. So you've got a great house, a stable job, and quiet streets. But now that you've moved here, what are you going to do? We talked a little bit about the Uptown before, but the Gold Coast's biggest selling point is that you're living in a year-round recreational hub, right where your time is actually your own. So think about this. I need to bring this up. You can pretty much drive from one end of Tri-Cities to the other in like 20 to 25 minutes. So forget about long commutes. Your weekends are actually going to be dedicated to fun and not traffic. If I'm stuck in traffic for more than 5 minutes in Richland, I'm actually pretty shocked. But let's go to the river. So Columbia River is essentially in your backyard. This is your backyard playground where you can do skiing, wakeboarding, fishing. If you have a boat, they have boat launches nearby at Howard Amen, Leslie Groves, and Columbia Point Park. If you prefer to stay on dry land, right out your front doorstep again is the Sacagawea Heritage Trail. This trail is a 23-mile paved loop that connects Richland, Kennewick, and Pasco. So whether you're going to walk that, bike, run, ride an electric little scooter, that trail runs right through the front here of the Gold Coast, right through it. You're just steps away if you're owning a home in this area. Living in this area means you can forget about driving to some of the best events in Tri-Cities. So many of them are really within an easy walking distance of this spot. So for instance, you have a massive Cool Desert Nights car show that happens right there at the Uptown that we looked at before. The big Art in the Park event at Howard Amen Park. These events alongside the weekly farmers market are what really showcase the community's culture. You also have legendary waterfallies, those hydroplane races that take over the Columbia River every summer. The atmosphere there is pretty incredible. And if you're talking about food and wine, get ready. We have a serious growing foodie scene here, but the wine is really what this area can be famous for, right? While there are 40 to 50 local wineries just here in the Tri-Cities, you have over 220 more within like a 50-mile radius of this area. So including world famous wine regions like Prosser and Walla Walla. So if you like wine, great food, easy access to the best events, river access, biking, walking trails right out your back door, on your front doorstep, the Gold Coast might just be the place for you. Richland Farmers Market, where you can find anything from fresh produce to local artisan goods and treats. So let's go check this out. What are you here for today, Lindsay?
Well, I actually had to come and pick up some fresh produce because I used up all of mine from the garden fairly quickly. So I got some cilantro and I got some red onions, pesticide free, and green beans.
Nice. So there you have it, the Gold Coast, that quiet historic gem right into the best parts of Richland, offering those incredible access areas to the river you saw, great job market, and a community feeling you simply won't find in many other cities. So if you're watching this video still, you're clearly serious about finding a home here in Tri-Cities. So I want to help you figure out if the Gold Coast is the right neighborhood for you and your family, or if some other neighborhood might fit better. The most important step you can take right now is to click the link in the description to contact me directly. So that link has all the ways that you can reach out to me, whether you're moving in the next month or maybe you're just looking into this for next year. I want to be your local resource here in Tri-Cities. And if you want to see more honest, hyper-local reviews of other great neighborhoods in Tri-Cities, make sure you hit the subscribe button, even that little tap the bell thing so you don't miss any insider videos that I post. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.